Aita for sacrificing the guest room instead of the office space. My husband and I live in a 3-bedroom apartment. We sleep in the master bedroom, and until earlier this year, the other two were a guest room and an office space we both shared. Our first child was born in October, and we decided to turn the guest room into his nursery. We thought about sacrificing the office instead, but decided we needed it more than the guest room. I work on site, but I also do some freelancing from home, and my husband works hybrid. We don't need to do our work from the office, but it's more comfortable and less chaotic, especially now that we have a baby. On the other hand, we rarely have guests over. If we do, the office is big enough to set a mattress, a normal one, not an air mattress, on the floor. My father lives in a different country. He's traveling here for Christmas in about a week, and this will be his first time meeting my son in person. Last time he came, I was pregnant and we still had the guest room, so he stayed there during his visit. A couple weeks ago, my father called to ask whether he could stay at my apartment again this year. I said sure, but we don't have the guest room anymore, so he'd have to sleep in the office. He asked what I meant, and I told him we'd turn the guest room into the baby's nursery. He then asked why I hadn't gotten rid of the office instead. I explained my and my husband's reasoning. My father got annoyed and said, "Whatever, I'll get a hotel," before hanging up on me. The next day, my father texted me. He said it was selfish and inconsiderate of me and my husband to keep an office we don't actually need over a room to properly house potential guests. He added that he didn't raise me to be such an awful hostess, and it's insane of me to think people would be okay sleeping on a mattress on the floor. My sister is siding with my father, and I'm starting to doubt myself here. Relevant comments. More on OOP's sister. My sister is younger and still lives with our mother, 15 minutes away. She only stayed in my guest room once before, and has said she's perfectly fine sleeping in the office if she ever has to. More on OOP's father. He visits once a year. He visited an extra time earlier this year for a wedding, and stays for a little over a week. We never made any agreement that he could stay with me every time, but I have housed him before. The office isn't unreasonably small, but it's not huge either. It's a regular mattress, not an air one, and no idea where people got that from. My husband and I use the office at least 4 times a week. We don't plan on getting rid of it unless we have another child. My father is 60 and has never expressed any interest in moving back to my country, nor would I allow him to move into my apartment if he did. Old people can't get up from the floor. You and your wife could swap beds with him when he stays. Let him have yours and you have the mattress on the floor. Alternatively, get a proper bed as minimum guest furniture, plus desk and chair as minimum office furniture. Downvoted. We can't fit a full bed in the office, nor do we need one. We barely have guests that would need it. I'm less than 2 months postpartum. I might be willing to swap beds with a guest in the future, but not now. If the office can fit a mattress on the floor, why can't you set up the bed on a bed frame while dad is in town? Downvoted. Fitting a mattress on the floor still requires moving stuff around, which we have to put back in place later. We barely get visitors, so buying a bed frame wouldn't be worth it. You don't need a guest room from what you are saying. If you are worried about it, and 100% this is for your comfort, can the office fit a pull-out couch/futon/Murphy bed? It's slightly better than a floor mattress, but still gets the job done and isn't a nuisance in spaces that can accommodate it. That's what we did when we didn't have enough space for a dedicated guest room. Again, no pressure and you aren't obligated to house anyone for any reason. It just made us feel better. We can't budget for a Murphy bed right now, nor would we have space for a pull-out couch. A futon might work, but probably not a large one. I'll do some research on it later. Either way, I don't think we need a guest room. When we had one, it was used at most 4 to 5 times a year. The only reason I'm not saying NTA is because you know your dad loves far and I'm guessing he's old school. Yes, you have a new baby, but couldn't you put a desk in the guest room? Just knowing at least my dad, he may take it as a reason not to go. Not just for the money he now spends on a hotel, but also, emotionally and mentally he may feel like this is some way of saying you don't want guests. Especially if he's the one that comes most often. He probably never even thought you would think of getting rid of it and he feels really hurt by this. I mean, do you go visit him? If so, great, and does he have a room for you guys? If you don't go visit, why not? Is this the only way he gets to see the new baby? I know you probably can't even think of shit like this right now with a new baby. I'm a big family gal. Downvoted. My father comes once a year, which I don't consider often. Don't know what you mean by, put a desk in the guest room, as we don't have a guest room anymore. I do visit my father when I can, almost yearly, but not more than once, and he does have a guest room my husband and I can stay in. But my father lives alone in a 2-story, 3-bedroom house. I live in a medium-sized apartment with 2 other people, including a newborn, and we barely have overnight guests. The best I can do is the floor mattress. Later, to the same commenter, oh, so you mean getting rid of the office and putting a desk in the guest room? Because that was not an option. The office is more than just a single desk. And we barely needed the guest room, so it made more sense to get rid of it. I still don't see the point in keeping a room we used 4 to 5 times a year instead of one we use weekly. Also, this hasn't been the arrangement for a while. I've only been living in this apartment for 2 years. He moved away a while before that, and he stayed in hotels back when I lived with my mother. There was never any formal agreement that he could stay with me whenever he visited, but I was fine with him staying at my place back when we could host him. Update. Hey everyone. My father flew home on Thursday, so I feel pretty good about writing an update now. First of all, I have read most of your suggestions for rearranging my home to make it more suitable for guests: Murphy beds, futons, sleeper sofas, having a guest room with a desk instead of an office, etc., and while I appreciate your advice, most of them would not work. We don't have the space for a pull-out couch, can't budget for a Murphy bed and need more than just a single desk as an office. That said, my husband and I are looking into getting a small futon. Secondly, my father did end up staying at a hotel, but not without reluctance. I didn't really express this in my original post, but I feel like my father's annoyance about this had more to do with his expectations of me as a person than of my home. He's always expected me to prioritize others, even when it was uncomfortable or inconvenient for me. I shared a room with my sister for 6 years so he could have a guest bedroom he barely used. And to be honest, I never actually liked having guests over, especially for long periods of time. My father always loved hosting other people, but I always found it exhausting and uncomfortable. And now that I also have a baby to think about, I can't imagine entertaining a visitor for more than a few hours, let alone days. My father and I did have a fight about this, but I put my foot down and he booked the hotel. When he flew in, he visited us right away to meet my son. Throughout the holidays, things were a little tense between us, but otherwise fine. A few days after Christmas, we had a small discussion. I told my father that my husband and I are doing our research on a futon, but until then, the mattress on the floor is the best we can offer. I added that I was very upset about his initial reaction, and if he ever acts like this again, I won't host him at my place, futon or not. He can either book a hotel room or wait until my sister moves out of our mom's place. On Friday, after letting me know he'd gotten home safely, he apologized to me. I'm not sure how sincere it was, but I won't worry about that right now. My husband and I do plan on having at least one more child, so we might convert the office space into a nursery in the future. There's also the possibility of moving to a bigger place, but either way, a guest bedroom will never be a priority. For now, I'm more than satisfied with our living situation. I'm also glad we were able to deal with this peacefully, and my son's first Christmas was perfect. Thanks, everyone. Happy 2025. Relevant comments. Even more on OOP's father. He doesn't usually apologize. There was a lot of tension between us when I was younger because of that. The older I got, the more he started taking accountability. My father lives alone in a 2-story, 3-bedroom house. Only one of those rooms is a guest room. I didn't get my own bedroom until we moved to a different place when I was 17, and even then he wanted us to share again. I love my father, but I'm glad we don't live together anymore. Stories number 2. Aita for siding with my daughter over my wife over adoption and what she calls her. I, 35M, have an 11-year-old daughter Haley with my ex. My ex died when Haley was 2, but I was already a single parent to Haley at that point. Haley knows about her mom, knows in an age-appropriate way about her mom's struggles and that she wasn't in her life prior to her death. I had a therapist help me navigate those talks, and Haley still attends therapy at times so she can work on any lingering questions she has or any lingering sadness/grief about the way her mom's life turned out. I met my wife Amy, 33F, when Haley was 4. Haley was 6 when they first met. I admit it took a while. I was cautious and didn't want to risk Haley getting attached if things didn't work out, and I wanted to be sure Amy was aware of what she was signing up for by being with me. A huge part of me worried Haley would struggle, but they got along great the first time they met, and it was amazing to witness them grow closer. Amy was great with Haley and Haley enjoyed having Amy around. Haley was 7 when Amy and I got married. After the wedding, Haley asked Amy if she could call her Suds, a nickname Amy's family uses for her. Amy was thrilled Haley wanted to use that nickname. Things were good. There were some questions asked on Amy's side about what Haley would call them. She uses first names for most people and nicknames for a few people who have them used most often. There was some grumbling from Amy's parents at one point about not being grandma and grandpa, but Amy told them the decision was Haley's and they should hope one day they earn those titles. Things changed when Amy was pregnant with our daughter Summer, 7 months. Suddenly Amy was more hurt by Haley calling her Suds or by her first name, and she was bothered by the fact Haley would say Amy was her stepmom or her dad's wife depending on the people she was talking to. Stepmom was more common, but at times she'd say Amy was my wife. Amy and I talked about it. I told her nothing had changed and she told me that was the problem. She was giving Haley a sister and it bothered her that she hadn't earned the title of mom in Haley's eyes. Then she said she'd be home with Summer, so doing more for Haley, and it stung to think she'd be acting as a mom but not recognized as hers. We spoke to a family therapist together at my request, and after several sessions we brought Haley in for a little bit. The therapist told Amy not to worry and Haley loved her. She didn't need to be mom for their relationship to be good. But it didn't settle Amy. We're now at the point where Amy has not let this go. Without saying anything to me, she asked Haley to let her adopt her. Haley's response that she loves Amy but didn't want to be adopted by her. I found out about Amy asking from Haley. I was upset. Amy was upset that I was upset. She told me she doesn't want to continue like things are. She said she wants Haley to call her mom or some variant of mom at least. She wants to adopt Haley too and make their relationship more than just guardianship, which she already has. When Haley told me what happened, we talked and she was honest that she didn't want to be adopted. She was sad Amy was upset and didn't want to hurt her feelings. But Amy's feelings are hurt and she's upset that I chose Haley's feelings over hers. She told me I should at least tell Haley to call her mom. I told her that should be Haley's choice, just like she told her parents. She said she really believed those titles could be earned, but that belief has died. I asked if that was such a deal breaker for her and she said yes, because she hates hearing Haley use her name or her nickname and she always calls me dad. Amy has confided in her parents about everything and they told me I was doing Amy wrong by siding with Haley over her. They said it's about respect and not just feelings, and it's disrespectful for Haley to not call Amy mom after all this time. Stories number 3. I, 23F, caught my BF, 23M, cheating on me with a woman who is married with 2 kids. Exactly what the title says, had my boyfriend's phone to look something up when he got a text from an unknown number. I didn't say anything to him originally, but took down the phone number and did my own research, found the phone number on her daughter's high school sports page. She's the head coach. Like my thought, RN, are you have to be fucking kidding me? I read through the texts on his phone and this has been going on for months. They met at a concert. I've been dating my boyfriend for 2+ years and feel like my life is either a lie or a joke. But I guess my real question is, can I go crazy here and tell her husband? Or maybe her son who is a year younger than me? What would you do? Pretty embarrassing, I can't lie. I feel really sad and disgusted, so please be nice. Edit, my boyfriend and I have already broken up. I will not compete with a grown woman. That behavior is unacceptable. I am thinking about telling her husband because she fully had an affair with a 23-year-old, while they are married with a young daughter. Maybe he deserves to know his life is a lie too. Not even being hateful, but no one deserves to be treated like that and stabbed in the back. I am not concerned with this woman getting mad at me or accusing me or anything in that realm. Quite frankly, I do not care about her at all, and I have done nothing wrong. I read texts of her basically seducing my BF and I recorded them on my phone, so there is video proof. I feel like if you dig the grave you lie in it. I am just wondering if you would want to know, or if ignorance is truly bliss. I have the chance to do a full reset. She doesn't have as much time. Stories number 4. Aita for telling my fiancé to stop being a brat. My fiancé and mom are fighting because my fiancé wanted a wedding at this lake in the mountains that she talked about before the engagement. We visit it every year and it's almost tradition to hike up there and camp there, and there is more hiking past that point that we make a long weekend of it. My mom is not happy because she is not fit enough for the hike. Her family is because they are hikers, but my mom has knee issues and is overweight and cannot do anything too difficult. This hike is 6 kilometers to get to the lake and everyone in the wedding party can do it. My fiancé agreed but then wanted to do it in her aunt's backyard. Her aunt has the nicest backyard out of the people we know, but I wouldn't say it's still very nice. She said she was just going to buy some string lights and an arch and do it there. I have been to the backyard and it's not bad, it just has garden beds and chickens in the corner, which my mom isn't happy with. My mom wants a formal location and is arguing the backyard spot is her punishing her from her first option. My fiancé denies it and says it's because she doesn't want to pay for a ceremony spot and she thinks the backyard is prettiest spot that is free. We looked at some public parks but they get very crowded and renting them is already not an option as they mostly filled up. My mom found a rental spot in a building with a decorative wall and benches that cost $1,200 for 2H rental and is something she felt like is pretty enough for a wedding. This is the cheapest option other than the parks we come across. My fiancé refuses to pay for it even though she agreed to half and told my mom if she wants to dictate the spot she needs to pay for it. My mom is taking it as her punishing her for not letting the wedding happen at the lake. They are arguing and I think my fiancé and I each paying for half is an easy fix and she is making it difficult for no reason. She refuses to make any compromises and told my mom if she doesn't want the wedding at her aunt's backyard then she doesn't have to come. We argued about it as well and I called her a brat because it's her way or the highway and she called me an asshole. I don't know why this is such a huge compromise to her but Aita. Stories number 5. Aita for dressing too nice for a wedding. Hello. Long-time lurker, first-time poster here. I, 25F, went to a friend's wedding a few months ago. The friends are Matt, 25M, and Susan, 25F. We're all part of a much larger friend group that gets along pretty great. To preface, I have actually never attended a wedding before in my life, and I don't tend to dress up or put on makeup. Nothing against it, it's just expensive and time-consuming and I work 16-hour days in a uniform. I was really excited when I got the invite, saved up, and went to a shop I know carries my size. I'm fairly tall. The clerk was amazing and so helpful. He chose a selection of dresses that would be wedding appropriate that weren't close to what the bridal party would be wearing and we had a lot of fun trying things on and he hyping me up. One of the options I just fell in love with. It was a beautiful dark green silk, bias cut dress, think Keira Knightley in Atonement, without the sash and less of a flowing skirt. We matched it with heels and I'd never felt prettier. The dress was on sale too, so that was a plus. Wedding day comes and it's lovely. I'm so happy for my friends. Susan ignores me, which is weird, but she's busy preparing and then the wedding is in full swing and the reception is busy so I don't think much of it. Everything goes off without a hitch and they drive off to their honeymoon. I suppose it's relevant, but I received several compliments on my outfit during the event. I didn't think it caused a scene, and it wasn't anything particularly effusive or over the top. I was doing the same to others so I didn't think it stood out. Everything concludes, we all have a nice time. No one says anything until tonight. We all got together for a welcome back dinner for Matt and Susan. During the dinner Susan kept making snipes at me about what I wore, just incredibly passive-aggressive. It was very clear she thought I overdressed. I didn't say anything at the time because I felt terrible. None of my friends corrected or stopped her either. But looking back on it I feel wronged. She didn't give me the benefit of the doubt and I don't feel like my dress was over the top. I do think I likely look very different from how I normally dress and present myself, so that might be part of it. I'm trying not to go over the word limit but am very open to questions and elaborations if needed. So Reddit, Aita, TLDR, wore a nice dress to a wedding, the bride is angry ever since. Sum of comments. Commenter, info, was there a stated dress code? Reply, the invite said formal and I knew it was going to first be in a church, and that the reception would be in a local hotel that looks like a castle and is quite fancy, though I've never been. Commenter, NTA. You're tall and you don't normally girl up. If the bride felt like you were trying to steal thunder, it's likely due to her own insecurities. Your dress was appropriate for the event you were at, it's just that you probably were stunning and that may have shocked people who never look at you that way. Either way not your problem. Reply, I was deliberately going for something very unadorned because she was wearing a ball gown with flower and rhinestone applique, I think that's the term. Her dress is a lovely dress, and the reception venue was perfect for it, effectively a castle. OOP's dress. I actually haven't seen the movie, so I don't know the intent, it was just the closest match I could find while googling trying to find the dress. I tried googling other dresses that looked similar, but most of them have a big thigh slit, which mine doesn't. I just didn't know how common bias cut is as a descriptor while also being accurate to my dress. To another commenter, pretty similar to the atonement dress, but a bit less mid-back rather than lower back, which isn't unusual for dresses to my understanding. Also brought a simple black little jacket to wear with it since it was a winter wedding and we moved venues, but didn't wear it the whole time understandably. Commenter, bias cut isn't much of a description of a dress at all, it just means the material has been cut at an angle. Reply, aw shoot then I don't even know if that's correct. That was my conclusion after consulting Google trying to find the dress and then something close to it when that failed. Commenter, the dress in Atonement is pretty attention-seeking. It was deliberately chosen in the movie and created a splash amongst viewers. So I'd say YTA. The wedding wasn't your moment. Reply, very fair. It wasn't my intent, but well could have been the impression and result. Were other women wearing cocktail dresses or gowns? Reply, about 50-50. I definitely wasn't the only one. But I'd say the wedding was very male-heavy, so 5 men per 1 woman I think. She had a huge bridal party, so most of our mutual female friends were part of the bridal party, so I'm not counting their long dresses, or not invited. Commenter, I see a lot of American women wear short dresses to formal weddings, which baffles me. Formal to me means long dresses. Maybe that's why. But if more women, other than the bridesmaids, wore long dresses and she isn't mad at anyone else but you, that's weird. Reply, she's not mad at anyone else that I'm aware of, but apparently some friends did talk to her, so she's mad at them now. Commenter, interesting that it was a predominantly male-attended event. Based on that plus the way she treated you, it sounds like Susan is definitely not a girl's girl. Reply, I think that's a multi-factor thing. Susan and Matt come from big families with mainly brothers. She's not in contact with her mother. Our friend group is largely male, and then on top of that some of our friends are gay, so more men as a plus one. I know she got in a fight though with some girls, so she uninvited them to the wedding, and pretty much all the rest were bridesmaids. I'm not the closest with her, personally, so I was just happy to be there. To clarify the last bit, happy to be there versus being in the bridal party. We're friends but not the closest as some of me and the other girls/guys are. Commenter, TBH, you went to a dress place and had the employee recommend dresses. Presumably a qualified employee helping you pick out a dress would not have recommended a dress in which you would upstate the brid, which would be over the top for a wedding guest. Reply, I did show him what the bride was wearing and that we had to avoid reds, bridal party color, so we wouldn't have anything remotely similar. He was honestly a sweetheart. Not in a pushy salesman way but really hyping up and helpful. Commenter, exactly. You went to someone qualified to suggest appropriate options and showed him what the bridal party was wearing, and presumably told him the dress code was formal. It is this person's job to help people select appropriate wedding attire, and if he's at all experienced he'd know that some brides can get jealous and controlling. He would not have recommended a bride upstaging dress. It seems to me like you did the appropriate thing. Reply, yes, and honestly the height was an issue. A lot of the shorter dresses are just too short on me and look indecent or just weird, not lying where they should, and it's way easier to hem something than make something longer, not that this one needed hemming. You'd think it'd be the other way around when shopping for dresses, but that hasn't been in my experience. And yes, OMG, he was so kind and lovely. Update post. So shit has hit the fan. Turns out, the dress didn't matter at all, pretty much. Just brought some old shit up, I guess. Bear with me because I'm trying to piece things together and dealing/venting. Some info I've gotten directly, some secondhand, and not all at the same time. Got some from texting friends, others reached out, and I talked with Susan on the phone. Alright, so, apparently this is relevant. I come from a fairly abusive situation. Not the worst, but still not great. I had some religious trauma, and since a young age I've been pretty relationship averse, and do not date casually or hook up with folks, and a staunch atheist. Believe what you want to believe, that's fine, but it's not for me. Yeah. How does this apply? Well, Matt, you might be getting a creeping suspicion at the root of the issue about now, is very Christian. Not an asshole about it, but he's been very clear that's the type of life he wants to live, and he wants to be a pastor. So a full-on decade ago, he asked me to a school dance. We didn't know each other very well yet. I told him no because my parents didn't let me go to those. He then asked if we could date and I gently turned him down because A, again my parents wouldn't have allowed it, and B, I knew I didn't want to live a religious life. I knew he was very religious. This was a decade ago. We didn't become friends or anything then. That came later because my best friend started to date one of the guys in the group, and our two friend circles merged. He dated people in between then as well, so like, a little awkward but rarely ever thought about it. We were 15. Time passes, he starts dating Susan. Susan and her friends join the group. Everything is fine. We get along okay, not the closest but good. There's some drama but I'm not usually in it, and honestly I am really busy with uni and work. Then just work. But apparently Matt told Susan that he had asked me out, no clue if he told her when it was, and this did bother her. I was oblivious. And yes, some of you were right. She is insecure, she also has anxiety. Matt, apparently, would get annoyed at her anxiousness when she'd call him crying, and in the moment would be supportive, but then after would compare her to me. Why? Things like, yeah, you should be like, OP, she doesn't stress about things like that. Like sorry, but I'm gonna be real with you here. Getting followed by a creep on a train is very different when you're 6 and take martial arts, versus 5 feet 1 inch with anxiety. Not fun either way, scary all the time, but can you blame her for crying? Sorry, I'm a little pissed. So I'm guessing she built up some sort of resentment towards me but never told me. Again, I'm oblivious to all this going on. COVID happens. He proposes they wait a bit more for marriage. She invites people to the wedding and does not want me as part of the bridal party, which again, we're not the closest so I'm unfazed, maybe a bit of sadness, but her bridal party is large and with girls closer to her, so I don't mind. My best friend is aware of some of the subtext going on here, because of her BF, the same guy mentioned earlier, so she doesn't get along well with Susan, and have a fight, unrelated, around this time so Susan says she's not invited and my friend doesn't care, she's going to be abroad then anyways. She also kicked some girls from the bridal party because they were apparently talking shit about the relationship, but I know very little about this, all third hand. So from what I can get from the conversation I had with Susan is that she thinks me asking about what the bridal party and she were wearing was a dig, somehow. And that I chose green deliberately so that I'd stand out from the bridal party and her dress had red accents here and there, in the opposite color. Again, didn't ask me this, just came to that conclusion on her own. She also is utterly convinced that I dressed so nice because I wanted to tempt Matt, and I should have dressed more modestly. So I asked why this was all coming up now, and why not talk to me about it. I could have assured her that there was never anything between Matt and I and never would be. This is where she tells me that during their honeymoon he tells her that he's having doubts, and feels like I was the one that got away and needs to pray over their relationship. They haven't separated or anything, but things have been tense and bad, so when they had that dinner and she saw me again she was pissed. She didn't say this directly but I think it's pretty easy to infer. Now this didn't come up in the call, but chronologically this happened shortly after I left the dinner. Some of our friends texted her and then reached out to me, some talked to her directly. To the first person she talked to directly she started shit-shaming me pretty hard, but apparently in a way where she thought they'd agree with her, and when she didn't she got pissed and has been really short with everyone after. At this point I tried to assure Susan that really nothing is there, I honestly have no clue what Matt's on about and she just loses it. Starts screaming and swearing at me through the phone and crying and calling me really horrible things. I try to shut this down, but she cannot hear me, she's shouting so much. So I just hang up because WTF am I supposed to do with that? I sent her a text saying that, hey, I'm sorry you're going through this, you don't deserve to be treated this way, but I don't deserve this treatment either. Whenever you are able to, I'd like to have a respectful face-to-face conversation. It shows red, but no answer. I have not contacted Matt, because honestly I'm a little freaked out and a lot pissed and don't have a clue what to say and don't really want to be near him ATM. I don't think this is over. I might update again when / if more happens because this was honestly really cathartic to write this all out. Comments. Commenter, they should just annul the wedding and go their separate ways. Reply, unfortunately they've passed the timeline where they could by a small margin. So they'd have to separate for a year, and then get divorced. And I don't know if they would, given that they're quite religious, and while their denomination doesn't disallow divorce it's understandably quite against it. Especially if he wants to be a pastor. That said, I 100% agree. Commenter, NTA. When she's ready, definitely have that face-to-face conversation and explain that you were 15 when he asked you out. You were never the one who got away, because you never dated and you were both teens. Also, please explain that you asked about the colors to ensure you wouldn't be matching the bridal party, which is a common question us women ask about weddings. Reassure her that you were only friends at a later date, after the teenage years, due to the friend groups overlapping, not because you sought him out, or he you. Explain, if given the chance, everything you've explained here and in your prior post. I definitely agree that you need to stay no contact with him, at least until they've figured everything out. You are definitely not the cause of their issues. It almost sounds like to me, with the info given, that he was settling, rather than finding that spark, especially given what he said to her on their honeymoon. Just, you. Who says that to their new spouse? If and when you have a face-to-face with her, tell her that you've chosen to go NC with him, or at the very least LC with him, but only if it's in a group setting and she's there. He sounds like he has some issues to work through, we all do at times, and that's okay. But what isn't okay is him comparing his new bride to other women. Again, this isn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. Please keep us updated. Reply, thanks for writing out this really thoughtful reply. Yeah, this is just a whole ass mess. It's left me feeling really gross, sad, creeped out and sad for Susan. I'm trying to figure out how long I should wait before reaching out to Susan again, let alone if really, like what the fuck can I do about this? Explanations are good but it doesn't fix the core issue at hand. Ugh. Sorry, I hope this makes sense. This whole situation has just got me exhausted. Stories number 6. My ex had an affair with my best friend. They're still together and celebrating Valentine's Day with my son like one big happy family. Over the last year, I've dealt with multiple deaths and serious family illnesses, moved 3 times, twice due to toxic mold, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. The silver lining was that I finally realized I might die if I stayed in my marriage, and I somehow found the strength to leave. I'm finally in an apartment that's not making me sick, and the post-separation abuse hasn't been as bad lately. I'm almost there, to the part where I can start healing and start living again. The part that's still really hard is that my best friend took his side. And then I found out they'd been having an affair. She's married to a lovely human who is dying. I think she just decided the world had wronged her, and she didn't care who she hurt. Right now, she's in town staying with my ex. Not sure for how long. Tonight I had to drop off our 7-year-old with the two of them. My son is so excited about celebrating Valentine's Day with them tomorrow, and that part is breaking my heart. Stories number 7. My boyfriend wants a Valentine's night, but I'm not ready. I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My boyfriend and I have been together for 6 months now, and things have been great, until recently. With Valentine's Day coming up, he's been dropping hints, no, not even hints, straight up telling me that it's time we take things to the next level. He keeps saying that 6 months is long enough, that everyone does it by now, and that it's the natural next step in our relationship. And look, it's not like I don't like him, I do. A lot, but something inside me just isn't ready, and I can't shake that feeling. The worst part? He started making it feel like a test. Like my feelings for him are in question just because I want to take things at my own pace. He says he understands, but then throws in lines like, "But do you even see a future with me?" Or, "I don't want to be with someone who isn't as into me as I am into them." It's messing with my head, making me wonder if I'm the problem. Now, Valentine's Day is around the corner, and I can already feel the pressure building. He's planning a fancy date, talking about getting a hotel room, and I just know what he's expecting. I'm stuck between standing my ground and risking the relationship or giving in just to keep the peace. Is it selfish to want more time? Am I being unfair to him? I don't know what to do. Edit. Thank you all for the valuable feedback. I finally told him I'm good with spending the evening together and having dinner, but not staying over. He seemed upset since he had everything planned and had to cancel, even though I never really confirmed and was hesitant from the start. Now, he's ghosting, ignoring my calls and leaving messages on read. Stories number 8. Aita for ghosting my boyfriend after I caught him riding in his car with another woman and they seemed cozy. My F32 boyfriend Dane, M36, and I started dating in 2020. I was thrilled to have someone like him because he was very loving and protective when it came to my emotions. I have anxiety. Our relationship went smoothly until he got into a new circle of friends via his career ambition. For background, he has always complained that he never gets good opportunities. I was supportive when he needed encouragement and eventually helped him with his networking efforts. He met a married couple and they bonded over shared frustrations and similar goals. The married couple introduced him to Adelaide, F45, who worked at a small company that has clients in different markets, office management services. He said it was a good start and applied as a clerk. I had no particular opinion or dislike towards Adelaide until I began to notice some things. She called regardless of weekends or holidays and started showing up during group outings. At first, I thought she was just friendly although a bit out of boundaries but well-meaning. I started to get very uncomfortable when he became guarded about his phone, walked away from me to take her calls and showed up late to pick me up because he was with her. He was adamant that I was hallucinating. Then, when things got harder between us, because I asked him not to include her in anything social aside from his own working environment, he acted harshly and accused me of being an anchor and an obstacle to his career. He said that she practically held the key to his advancement and that I was sabotaging. It got so bad that he even asked for a break. It took 5 weeks for him to cool down, in which I was banned from calling him and experienced symptoms of anxiety that I hid from my family. When he finally broke NC, I was so hurt and afraid to lose him that I accepted his terms: be open to having a friendship with Adelaide, do not act uncomfortable if she was around, do not mention her, no arguments, no jealousy. I'm not gonna lie, I felt humiliated that a newcomer had so much power, but I told myself that he was just trying to build his career. 2 events caused our breakup almost a year ago. First, he never told me that Adelaide had a close friend who is also his neighbor. I found out because the woman from the married couple mentioned multiple get-togethers that were obviously happening and I was being excluded. This led me to feel worse, and one day, I arrived at his place and he wasn't answering my phone. I went 2 floors down and found him joking and very smiley at his new friend's apartment. They weren't alone, there were a bunch of people in there. He said he was getting fed up and that I had crossed the line. Second, I found sand on his passenger seat and floor. After lots of denying, he said he and Adelaide had been to the beach to survey for new possible clients. We broke up that same day. He begged me for months, until I agreed under very hard terms. First, he needed to find another job. Second, he needed to keep things distant and professional while they were in the same office, but he needed to socially cut her off. He did everything I asked and even called her in front of me. She seemed to understand. It took me a year to recover my trust in him. One day, he announced that Adelaide had found a better position and left that job, so it wasn't necessary for him to go elsewhere. I was so confident that I hardly let it play inside my head. Fast forward and the married couple ended their friendship with him, or he ended it. They are no longer on speaking terms. I found a great career opportunity, and instead of being happy for me, he complained that I work around too many male colleagues. He started withdrawing from me and picking arguments. I work out of town for most of the week. Long story short, I was driving from out of town earlier and saw Dane riding with a female that I'm not familiar with on the passenger seat, and she fed him something to his mouth. She's not his mom or his sister, and this was 2 towns down. I tried to follow them but wasn't able to keep up. She's definitely not Adelaide, and it was definitely his car. I don't know of any situation in which I will hand feed someone where there's no sexual involvement. I called him and he didn't pick up, so I texted him. I didn't mention coming back earlier, but I asked about his day and he was very casual. To be fair, I didn't ask if he had someone inside his car or about his lunch break, and he didn't say anything either. This time I'm more disgusted than hurt. He tried to reach me at night as usual, but I didn't pick up. I blocked him and mailed all of his personal belongings to avoid him coming to my place. My sister supports me, but she's worried that one day my anxiety will blow up for lack of closure. He's been calling me from unknown numbers and sounded genuinely confused. I know what I saw, but have gone to all the profiles of all his female relatives, and that woman is not one of them. He's been begging me to just tell him what's going on. I feel like I have a hole in my chest, but maybe I'm in shock because I'm not feeling desperate or anguished. My cousin says I need to ask him directly. Aita. Stories number 9. Aita for telling my mother-in-law she can't criticize my parenting in front of my kid. I, 30F, have been married to my husband Kieran, 34M, for 4 years, and we have 1 son together, 3. My mother-in-law Christy is one of those people who doesn't seem to have ever grown out of the mentality that her son is in fact a grown man with a family of his own, and can be very overbearing at times, but I've known for the most part that she means well. She was very vocal through my pregnancy about what I should do and everything, etc., and a lot of it was valuable as first-time parents, but since our son has been born, she's been very hands-on. Kieran has previously spoken to her about coming over too often. He knows I prefer to leave her to him, lol, but she doesn't seem to have taken much of the hint. Right now, she enjoys popping over up sometimes twice a week. A few days ago, we were at a family gathering when my son threw a tantrum because he'd lost his favorite teddy. I was handling it calmly and found the toy, but my mother-in-law stepped in and started criticizing my approach right in front of everyone. She told me that I was being too lenient and that my son would grow up spoiled if I didn't discipline him properly. This seemed utterly ludicrous to me, considering that not only is it mine and my husband's decision how we parent our son, but he's 3 years old and lost his teddy. There's not much to discipline him for. I was embarrassed and frustrated because it was in front of a bunch of family members, but I pulled her aside later and asked her directly if she could take a step back from trying to control both my marriage and parenting. She got very frustrated with me and started telling me that I needed to be more patient. Real change of tune there. Christy thought I needed to be more strict and direct, and that she was clearly only trying to help. I understand that she probably is acting with the best of intentions, but it's starting to get too much. Part of me can't help but feel like she's treating mine and Kieran's son as a sort of second son of her own. But on the other hand, I understand that she's likely just trying to guide us in the right direction. I'm not sure. Aita. Stories number 10. AIO. My wife just had a positive pregnancy test. I've had a vasectomy for 15 years, so I'm actually a bit surprised by how much this has been seen and commented on. As well as an insane amount of DMs. Even if I didn't reply, I did read them all. Some background. When our twins were little and I was working 2 jobs, my wife had an EA. So there is a history that led to me freaking out initially. It was barely an EA from her side, but the AP was pushing boundaries when I caught what was happening, and in her defense she agreed it was inappropriate as soon as I confronted her and went NC immediately. Since then we've actually gotten to a great place and have a great marriage. Got all the questions why she took a pregnancy test. She was 2 weeks late, and even in perimenopause she's like a clock usually, and as has been mentioned, the snip can fail. For the "she's for the streets" comments and DMs, after my initial reaction, I'm not concerned that she was fooling around. Our youngest daughter wanted us to get location sharing, so we all share locations with each other. We have Ring cameras at all entry and exit points at our home, and honestly, we pretty much are together when not at work. On to the update. She is not pregnant. They are unsure what caused the false positive, which they got at the doctor's as well, but an ultrasound ruled it out. I have an appointment to make sure I don't have swimmers cause now I'm nervous about that. They want to do some more tests to make sure the HCG in her system is just a symptom of perimenopause and not anything worse. I'm glad that my freak out was kept to myself, and thanks to all of you that have me some info on what could be causing the issues. That's likely it. I've never had a post blow up like this. A Newsweek writer contacted me for a comment, even so I'm considering deleting my account. Stories number 11. My best friend died and now I'm rethinking my relationship with my girlfriend. All names have been changed to protect the guilty. Hi, I, 41M, have a daughter, 13F, who is the light of my life. Her mother passed during childbirth. For the past decade I've tried dating, but with disastrous results. A year before my daughter, call her Stephanie, was born, my wife, Joy, bought me a border collie pup who I named Flip. Somehow it was Flip who managed to keep me sane the first 2 years after my wife's death. He was my best friend. He guarded Stephanie and protected her, like he was an extra dad. Steph lived Flip so much. Every vacation, every trip she insisted on bringing Flip, and of course that was more than okay with me. Last year I finally struck gold. I met Donna, 39F, who helped fill the void in my life with Joy's passing. She is warm, kind, and intelligent. She took to Stephanie like a champ, and even though SH doesn't like dogs, Flip won her over. Everything was looking up. Donna moved into my house a month ago. Flip developed cancer and I had to take him to the vet to be put down. I'm not ashamed to say I cried almost the entire day. Stephanie too. She's devastated. When I told Donna, she said, "Oh well, time to get a cat now so we can both enjoy a pet." WTF. I couldn't believe what I heard. I told her my best friend died and she's so damn dismissive. She replied that it's just an animal, no biggie. My heart shattered all over again. Of course Steph heard the exchange and now doesn't want anything to do with Donna. Won't talk to her. I made up the guest room and told Donna she's sleeping there for a while. She got mad and is now not speaking to me. I'm thinking of breaking up with her because she can't see how much Flip meant to us. She seems unable to see that my emotions are valid. Flip was a dog, but more importantly he was family. She can't see that. Right now I'm heartbroken and exhausted and I want to sleep for a while week, but I needed to vent here. Thank you Reddit folks for reading. I appreciate you all. Update, my best friend died and now I'm rethinking my relationship with my girlfriend. As always, the names are fake. Hey, I'm more than stunned by how this thing took off. Thanks to all the well-wishers and those who messaged for their words of support. It means a lot. For those crying fake, I hear you and understand. A lot on Reddit seems to be BS. Thanks to all who thought to reply for both the positive and negative inputs. Went to work for the overnight shift and my partner Tanya, worked with for 4 years, had a present for me, a small chocolate cake shaped like a dog bone and the Flip's name on it. I just about lost it. Tanya is the best and a great coworker. Her husband is a good friend, too. We talked and I showed her the post. She's no fan of Reddit but understands that I needed to vent. After work I picked Steph up from school and we had a long talk in the car. I told her I was going to talk to Donna about how her words hurt us and asked if she wanted to be part of the conversation. She said no, but added that she trusted me to make the correct decision. My kid is awesome. Sat Donna down after she came home and we had a heart-to-heart talk. She grew defensive and almost got up and left, but I told her if we couldn't talk this out there was no future for us. Then I showed her the post. As she read the comments she started to cry. After a few minutes we talked and it came out that she considered Flip to be part of my old life that I had with Joy, and that with his passing I could focus on our relationship more. TBH, I almost lost my poop right there but managed to stay calm. Anger is a secondary emotion indicative of deeper trauma, so I kept that in mind during the conversation. I told her that Joy and Flip will always be part of my life, just like Stephanie, and nothing can change that. I said that they are part of me and helped shape the man I am today. If she can't recognize that, understand my pain and feel empathy, then this relationship is doomed. To make a long story short, she's moving out and we are taking a break from each other for a month or two to reflect on our priorities. Not that I need that, I know my priorities, my needs and wants for a relationship. She must decide if it coincides with hers. That's it. It's late and I'm bushed. Not working tomorrow, so I am going to help pack Donna's things. Thank you so much for your support, folks. To all those animal lovers out there, always trust your heart and may God bless and keep you. Stories number 12. Aita for being upfront about the fact that I will not be doing things with my nephew or being the fun uncle, since I don't like kids and never agreed to be the fun uncle. My sister Lauren is pregnant with a boy who she is planning to name David. Long story short, David's father Brian is a loser and my sister is not going to be getting any help from him. Lauren has been talking a lot about how a boy needs a father figure. David's going to look for mentorship in the wrong places unless family steps up, and some more obvious statements that show she expects me to be the fun uncle type with David. I don't want any confusion in the future, so I told Lauren up front how I'm not going to be the fun uncle type or have any parental role with David. I'll be polite at any family events and send a gift for his birthday/Christmas, but that's it. It's not personal, I've just never liked kids, I find them annoying, and I don't want to ever be responsible for one. Brian's brother Andrew wants to be involved. He has 2 young kids who he wants David grow up with and have a strong relationship with the cousins. Our own brother George also wants to be involved. So I told Lauren how David has plenty of adult male figures without me. Lauren launched into me saying that uncle still isn't the same as an actual father and David needs all the support he can get since Brian won't be here. She accused me of flaking out on my own blood. I have my own life and wasn't going to be involved regardless of the situation with Brian. I've always been upfront that I wasn't going beyond holiday gifts and other basic politeness. Besides, Andrew and George will be involved uncles, so I don't get why this pressure is on me. Lauren argued that hosting him for a sleepover or taking him to a museum isn't asking the world. Realistically, one polite but distant uncle won't have any negative impact on a kid, and I can't be flaking out of a commitment that I never agreed to take in the first place. Aita. Stories number 13. My best guy friend drunkenly confessed his love to me. 2 nights ago my friend called and told me how much he was in love with me, that he pictures future together, and how absolutely great I am. While drunk. I've had this happen many times but with crap men who never meant it in the morning, twisting my brain for fun or something. This person is a great friend whom I care about deeply. I think there's something there from both sides. He won't answer me now, I worried he's so embarrassed he's just gonna disappear forever. I don't know what to do, this is just upsetting. Edit frowny face. I do like him as well, not to the extent of love though. I do want to add that I was in love with him 4 years ago, I told him and he said I was like his sister lol. This is so weird. Stories number 14. Going through hell with ex-husband who doesn't want to pay child support because I'm remarried and have a job. Exploding head. Yes. It is literally that stupid. He is skipping on child support, despite making over $1 million a year because he says I am remarried and my current husband should be paying for our daughter, my daughter with my ex-husband, and her needs. I don't even know what the fuck to say about it, to be honest. You're married, aren't you? Why won't your husband pay for what she needs? I have no money. I have more kids to support and bills to pay. You have a job. Why won't you pay for her school and all her needs? Please don't get me in trouble for cussing, but I fucking do. I pay for it all. Clothes, shoes, food, home, lately school because the money he sent was for her schooling but he stopped sending it, vacations, travel expenses for medical needs because she has a heart problem, medication, transportation, all of it is me. He says he has personal bills, business bills, has a wife, 2 extra kids with his new wife. His wife actually told him she doesn't like him paying/doesn't want him to pay child support because his money should be for him, her and their 2 kids. She says our daughter, mine with my ex-husband, should now be my current husband's responsibility because I'm remarried. Make it fucking make sense. Exploding head. I don't understand some women. I really don't. He hides money by paying all his personal bills such as rent, food, vacations, clothes all out of the business account and thinks he can hide behind that. I have no salary. It all comes out of the business account and you can't touch it. Fucking prick. Our daughter has a heart condition and requires medical care, has had to have procedures for it and will, hopefully not, most likely need more in the future. We have to fly away for those procedures because where we live they don't offer it. It's all covered through my work insurance but I still have expenses for it. I pay it all. Medications too. My current husband has paid some of it to help me but I feel bad as it isn't his responsibility and he has a child of his own he pays child support for. He's lovely. My ex-husband should be paying way more than he does but because I tried being nice for the benefit of our daughter, he now takes advantage. His monthly payments are $1,700 but he should be paying give or take $10,000 because of his high income. Our daughter lives with me full-time. I have full custody because of past abuse he put us through. Won't go into it because it is pretty graphic, but I forgave it for the well-being of our daughter and did the best I could to co-parent. When we agreed our child support he didn't make as much as he does now, and with our daughter's heart problems I've been having a lot of financial expenses he should help with now that he makes more money. I have never filed for an adjustment after the years despite knowing he was better off, didn't know he made this much, to keep the peace, but with her health problems, I thought he would have been a decent human being and helped out more, but the moment I asked he absolutely lost it. I am hoping I can do it, have an adjustment and enforce child support, just through DCSS because I am not in the same state as him, which he takes advantage of that too. Going to court will be a pain in the ass and an expense I can't afford because all my money is for her education and medical needs as well as basic living needs. It's come to a point I've actually considered a GoFundMe. How sad is that? The only issue is that I'd have to disclose personal information about our daughter, her story of her health problems, which I'm not comfortable doing. He says I am TAH for wanting more child support because he makes more money now, because, even though I make more money, I have 2 more kids, bills, and I will tell the court that he makes over 20 times what I make. Him and his wife are always on vacations and whatever expensive activities with their kids, renting luxury homes in foreign countries, but he says he has no money. His wife actually posted on social media that they were looking at buying a Tesla. I don't know WTF to do. Ada here. I feel stupid even asking, but he is really messing with my mind. Our daughter is depressed, crying because of how her father spoke to me. I'm heartbroken she heard it all. I don't know what to do. I am so overwhelmed I just want to sob. Ada for taking this back to the DCSS. Edit to say, DCSS means Department of Child Support Services. That's what we call it here. Sorry if it's different in your state country. They deal with anything to do with enforcing child support. Edit, please pay attention to what I said. I never said I want him to pay $10,000 a month. That's ridiculous. I said he pays $1,700 and that according to his income, of over $1 million, he should be paying give or take $10,000. I never said I want that, nor did I say I'd ask for it. Calling me a gold digger without reading properly is really not okay. Stories number 15. My sister-in-law changed her name, and a coworker thought she was a completely different person. My sister-in-law works as a project auditor at a large energy company, so people sometimes get a little anxious when they see her name pop up on emails or Teams chats. She also recently got divorced and dropped her married name to go back to her maiden name. For the sake of the story, we'll say her married name was Katie Sue and her new maiden name is Katie Jane. She recently went out to a project site to do one of her audits. She met with the project team involved, started doing her business, and then eventually finished. She started making some small talk with one of the team members, and it went like this. Project team member, PTM. So how long have you been with the audit team? SAL, now Katie Jane. About X years now. PTM, well, you were great to work with. We used to get emails from one woman named Katie Sue and she was absolutely horrible. Do you know her? SAL, oh yeah, she's terrible. Stories number 16. Why male friendships and circles are so much negatively portrayed by some feminist spaces on Reddit and other platforms. They have the worldview that no man share their struggle and have meaningful friendship that will cheer themselves. I really found it amusing because that's not what it is. They want to fit everything under their false interpretation that'll fit the common feminist narrative. They just want to shut any conversation where men are particularly affected and they use buzzwords like toxic masculinity and generalize us. It's tiring. It's just their own way to say man up but they won't budge. Just saw a guy tell about in comments here about a subreddit called r/bald where many men share their experience and motivate each other. Men are already upholding other men. The idea behind blaming men's problem in large to the individual is about preserving the idea of men being oppressor. It's a surprise to them that most men are suffering in this system than women. They're surprised that 1% of men are actually privileged and most men aren't monolith who live to oppress women. Stories number 17. Aita for threatening to sue my cousins in front of people who were strangers to me. The title should say cousins friend my bad y'all. I, 29F, was at my grandmother's house last Friday when a friend, 27F, of my cousin, 27M, reversed into my car. I caught part of it on my phone camera, which showed her pulling away after hitting my car. I took photos of the damage, then messaged the cousin's friend to discuss how she was going to pay for the repair. She decided to add me to a group WhatsApp call instead of replying privately in the group call. I called her out using her name, the color make model of her car, and her license plate. I mentioned I had video proof. She asked what I expected from her, and I gave her 2 options: meet up the next day, Saturday, and exchange insurance or pay $2,500 in cash. She expressed concern over using insurance due to rate hikes and said she didn't have the cash. I then offered to let her put a credit card on file at the shop, and I said I would have them cap the charges on her card at $2,500. She didn't like that either. My final offer was to tell her she had till Thursday, today, at 6 p.m. to notify me of what she wanted to do. If I hadn't heard from her by that point, I would file a police report and pursue a small claim suit. She tried to counter by saying the damage was from a previous incident, the work order where I had gotten the $2,500 number from, but I reminded her I had proof from the shop that was completed 3 years and time-stamped photos from earlier in the day, last Friday, of both cars undamaged. My cousin is upset about how I handled the situation, saying I embarrassed his friend by confronting her in front of her friends, strangers to me, and that I should have offered a payment plan. Anyway, Aita for threatening to sue her in front of people who were strangers to me. Mini update, 6 p.m. came and went without a word, but at this point I'm not surprised. Filed a police report and they laughed at all the evidence. I had insurance, will be notified tomorrow. Stories number 18. My dad and little sister were killed by her husband before he killed himself. My little sister was having trouble with her husband who was abusing and beating her up, so she went back to live with my parents after she had enough and filed for a divorce and pressed charges against her husband. And one day he went over to my parents' house and entered without anyone noticing him and shot and killed my dad before raping my sister and emptying his gun in her, killing her too before he eventually killed himself. Thank God Mom wasn't home that day. My parents live a bit away from everyone, so nobody heard a thing, and I was the one that found them because I wanted to give my dad a package I got that her ordered. I found him dead with 3-4 gunshots and found my sister naked with her clothes ripped, and the bastard had covered her with his disgusting cum after he killed her. And he had shot his brains off. It's been over 6 to 7 years since this happened and I still can't get that image out of my head. Aita yelling when my husband asked me where his watch is. Hello, would love opinions on this and if Aita here for my reaction to this. I am a light sleeper, have trouble falling back asleep if woken up. My husband is fully aware of this. I also have 3 young kids. All my kids and I have had the flu and are finally on the mend. But for the last 1 to 2 weeks the nights have been broken up by sick kids. One of my kids is a 7-month-old and I am the parent that will attend to her when she wakes up at night. My husband does not help with any of that. The last 1 to 2 weeks have been rough recovering from the flu and taking care of sick kids. For example, the 2 nights before last I was up from 1 to 3 a.m. and then had to be up by 5 a.m. for work. I am just exhausted. There is a pattern or history in our marriage of him not taking on as much of the kids or household responsibilities. We've been to counseling for this and other stuff. I just wanted to give you some context or background. At 4:45 a.m. on Saturday, when we could have the opportunity to catch up on sleep because there was no school or work, my husband wakes me up to ask where his watch is. I was so angry because I knew I was not going to be able to fall back asleep, and by the time I was able to, the baby or kids would be up. This week has been exhausting. After I told him where he left it, he went downstairs and I was just enraged. I went downstairs and told him that asking for help to find his watch wasn't a reason to wake me, and you know how hard it is for me to sleep. He did not care one bit. He said things back like, "You're not even trying to fall back asleep," or "All I did was just ask you a question." This enraged me and I yelled back at him how selfish and inconsiderate he was. My whole day now is going to be me tired because he can't remember where he put his watch. We went back and forth and he truly doesn't think he did anything wrong and is very defensive. At this point the baby started stirring and I went to feed her. My other kids did not wake up from this. We were arguing on a different floor of the house. I don't know if you need to know this, but he was looking for his smart watch because he wanted to go for a run and used it to monitor distance. Thank you for reading this. I would like to know if Aita in my response. Aita for putting a fake curse on someone for not respecting my boundaries. I'm a 15-year-old high schooler, and this all started in November when my friends and I were studying in a private room at the library. 2 girls left for the washroom and came back giggling, saying the security guard was cute. I teased them, thinking it was just a harmless crush. Fast forward to January, Nancy, one of the girls, began insisting on going to the library because she was obsessed with this guard, who I later found out is in his 20s, a 6-year age gap. During our exams, a fight broke out when Nancy guilt-tripped another friend over plans, and tensions escalated. Later, Nancy posted an Instagram note about the age difference, which I saw as concerning, so I shared a screenshot in a group chat, excluding Nancy and one other person, warning that someone should tell her to stop before anyone got into trouble. Nancy, who was logged into another account, saw the messages and confronted us, which led to a group FaceTime where I was unfairly accused of talking behind her back. I left the call, but she and her friends kept blowing up my phone, with one of her close friends even calling me names. Despite apologizing for any misunderstanding, I refused to retract my honest feelings, and when Nancy continued to harass me with insults, I sent her a fake curse in Haitian Creole. She never responded, but the whole experience has left me wondering if I crossed a line. Aita for scolding my mother for making fun of my brother's speech impairment, then when she threatened me I acted on it. This post gonna have a lot of code words because of the auto mod. I was heading downstairs to grab dinner, so was my brother who has a lisp. Entering the kitchen, I was about to take my plate when he suddenly said, "I don't want my potatoes." He messed up the pronunciation and my mother immediately began ripping into him. This wasn't about him not being hungry or wasting food. My mother began yelling at him for saying potatoes instead of potatoes. She called him stupid and an idiot, which just angered me. She always did this. I told her to stop, yelling at her and saying that this wasn't the first time she'd done this. I tried to walk away, and she said, "Keep talking to me like that and I'll hurt you in the face." I turned back and asked her to say that again. She repeated the threat, so I raised my hands. Like a coward, she backed away. Still trying to escalate the situation, she grabbed my food and hovered it over the trash bin. She said that she'd throw it away. I shrugged, her cooking was shitty anyway. Again, I started to leave. Suddenly as I was halfway up the stairs, she began yelling, telling me to get out of the house and threatening to hurt me upstairs. I recorded the exchange. When I mentioned recording her, she shifted the conversation, claiming I had hurt her in the past and done worse than just hurt her. I demanded she provide an example. She remained silent, unable to give a single example validate her accusations. Aita,